Okay, well, hello. Back again. And we're going through this grand adventure, I'm so excited to go through. Let's continue. Oh no. No, don't crash. Okay. What have we here? RMS Titanic, quote-unquote Titanic, April 14th, 1912. Hors d'oeuvre varies. Hors d'oeuvre. Oysters, canson, Olga, crème parlée, salmon, Mussolini sauce, cucumber, filet mignon, sauté of chicken, lyonnaise. I like chicken mayonnaise. Vegetable marrow farce. Farce? I don't know what that is. Lamb meat sauce, roast duckling, applesauce, sirloin of beef, Your Majesty. Green peas, boiled rice. What the heck is roast squab? Punch romaine? Okay, just tell me where Romaine's at and I'll punch him. Don't crash now. A little bit of chop here. We're fortunate that this thing is running at all, so. All right. What? Oh, whoops, sorry about that. Okay. Oh, an Enigma machine. That's an early cell phone right there. That's what they used to look like back in the 80s, in case you were wondering. Ah, here we go. Okay. France, Germany, Austria, Hungary, Russia. Yeah, it's all there. Britannia. Secret report. The Central Powers. Oh my goodness. What do we have here? Neutral, United States. Well, you know, we don't want to get involved. It's your fight. Okay, reading. We've got some reading ahead of us here. I'll go as fast as I possibly can, but this could be painful. So, this spring of 1912, Europe is the dominant center of the civilized world, bursting with energy and power. It is also a house of cards, cobbled together by diplomats and old dynasties at the Congress of Vienna in 1815 to restore order after the devastating Napoleonic Wars. This structure of nation-states has endured for nearly a century, but rumbling subterranean faults. Butt rumbling. Grow up, Caleb. Alright, sorry. Subterranean faults threaten to plunge all we have built into the abyss of mechanized global war. Despite such dangers, English liberals, doggone liberals, intellectuals, and progressive businessmen choose to believe the sanguine writer Norman Angell. His book, The Great Illusion, has become a publishing phenomenon, electrifying the Oxbridge campuses with his postulate. I had my postulate checked once. There was much butt rumbling. Oh no, don't crash. What are you doing? Okay. War is unthinkable. A modern war would be terrible and so disruptive to the global economic system, he says, that both victor and vanquished would be devastated. Global finance and economic interdependence is so great, he argues, that no nation will risk war. Nothing is further from the truth, as you shall read. In fact, peace totters on the brink. Pushed near the edge by Europe's economic colonial rivalries and a system of competing alliances, the Central Powers of Germany and Austria-Hungary stand toe-to-toe with a looser, more ambiguous association. I almost said loser. The allies of the Triple Entente, comprising Great Britain, France, and Russia. Meanwhile, in the Balkans, the contending forces of Slav nationalism and great power expansion may well provide the fuel for a terrible inferno. Doggone it, don't crash now. Keep going. Alright, here we go. There is no hope, however. Oh, there is hope, however. Big difference there. London politicians may be pessimists, but Britannia still rules the waves. Oh, Britannia, Britannia rules the waves. And trade. and banking, and the realm of ordained self-confidence. They rule everything. Our vast overseas empire stretches from Suez to Cape Town, from Persia to Burma, the treaty ports in China, or the treaty ports in China. We are linked by language, culture, and commerce with the United States, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. Our chief rival is Germany. Her leader, the Kaiser, has doubled her army since... Why does it have to be her? Can't it just be like it? Army since 1892, and races to build a navy to rival the British fleet. Germany's trade policies, tariffs, enlightened social welfare... Doc, don't do this. Okay. Welfare services, and large dynamic, well-educated labor force now boast an efficient modern industrial system that outbids and undersells Britain around the world. To secure her position, Germany forged military alliances with Austria-Hungary in 1879. The result, these central powers, quote-unquote, now dominate continental Europe desperate for allies. Republican France has swallowed her principles, among other things, clasped the hand of the weak but autocratic Tsar, loaned Russia millions of francs to keep the inept, corrupt government afloat, and invested heavily in Russian industry, railroads, and expansion across Siberia to Asia. Every European power wants Asian markets, and Russia especially covets warm water ports on the Pacific. Generally, Britain has stood apart, but we have repeatedly foiled Russia's efforts to gain access to the Mediterranean Sea, and will continue to do so. This Franco-Russian alliance has increased German paranoia and insecurity. The Kaiser shouts, "Foul!" when he watches a game, feeling isolated and encircled, but in fact, Russia is a lumbering behemoth. Our intelligence reports it is shackled by corruption, inefficiency, and an inept autocrat. Escalating scandals swirl around the... Come on. Yes. Okay. German-born Tsarina Alexandra. And the mystic monk Rasputin. Kind of made her sound Spanish. Tsarina Alexandria. Rasputin, who seems to ease her son's hemophilia. What? He's a hemophilia? With his psychic powers. Wow. Impotent Bolsheviks. What a bunch of Bolsheviks! Dream of revolution, but achieve little. Many have taken refuge in Austria and Germany, always eager to create mischief for the Tsar. The Central Powers state security both welcomes and encourages the Bolsheviks in the hopes that they will overthrow the Tsar. Germany is spoiling for conquest. Some insignificant African territories fly the German Kaiser's flag, as do a few ports in China and some Pacific islands. But the American open-door policy to China and its Pacific fleets, limits further German aspirations. Thus foiled, in Asia, the Kaiser has paraded his gunboats in Morocco. But we and the French were the first. We were the first, and faced him down with a combination of guns and diplomacy. Say hello to my little diplomacy! He has retreated in a fury, but now makes plans for a Berlin to Baghdad railway to open the Middle East to German trade and influence. In the face of German provocation, we have taken pains to cement our relationship with the French. 8 years ago, in 1904, they signed the Entente Cordiale, a friendly agreement. France acknowledges Britain's prevailing influence in Europe. Britain gives her blessing to French control of Morocco, and our navies now share military maneuvers. France has also nudged us into a similarly loose accord with Russia. In 1907, we signed the Anglo-Russian Convention that formalizes our separate spheres of influence in Persia and eases our historic conflict over the Crimea. We still refuse to make military commitments, but the European House of Cards is now divided between the Allies and the Central Powers. Okay. Good. Okay, good. We made it. Alright, we're doing good. In Austria-Hungary, the doddering old emperor Franz Joseph has sat on the throne since 1850. Man, that's a long time to sit down. His is an empire of heterogeneous people. heterogeneous, excuse me. People, ruled by an incompetent bureaucracy and gross inequality. Intelligence reports that he is a dull fellow. Old-fashioned and conservative. He tends to elaborate rituals of the Habsburg court, works long days like an arduous clerk, and rules over an explosive mix of Germans, Hungarians, Czechs, Poles, Italians, Slovenes, Romanians, Serbs, Croatians, Bosnians, and Jews. Conflicts rage over language restrictions and economic discriminations based on nationality and the competing religious loyalties of Roman Catholics, Orthodox Christians, and Muslim Slavs. 400 years of the Ottoman rule has left its mark on the region. I'm always afraid it's going to crash when it does that. Many wish it back. That's weird for an Ottoman to rule a region. That's a piece of furniture, isn't it? As Emperor Franz Joseph dithers, the society waltzes to Strauss and amuses itself with the novel theories of the mind doctor Sigmund Freud. The Balkans threaten to explode with Serbia as the flashpoint. In 1908, young Turk military officers rose in revolt against the Sultan of the Ottoman Empire. In the breach, Austria annexed the old Turkish provinces of Bosnia-Herzegovina. The annexation infuriates Serbia, which wants Bosnia as part of a greater Serbia, and the Russians, who see themselves as mentors for their Slav brothers, the Serbs. It has also spurred Bulgaria to declare independence. These actions have inflamed further nationalist aspirations, which led to last year's Balkan War when Bulgaria, Serbia, Greece joined forces against Turkey. But Greece, of course, probably borrowed a whole bunch of money and then everybody got broke. Today, terrorism flourishes. Just this year, a Bosnian student, a member of a greater Serbian secret society, tried to assassinate the Hungarian governor of Croatia. Properly financed and directed Serbian nationalist movements could create a serious international crisis. You call that terrorism? Do you even bomb? Oh, check it out. The end is in sight. Okay, here we go. Lastly, though it still adheres to neutrality, the United States is a major force in the Pacific. Seeing herself as China's protector, Washington does face a potential problem with Mexico. The revolution there has unleashed a tiger. The new Maduro government has failed to halt corruption and spur reform, and rebel leaders are staging armed raids against it. There is a fear in Washington that such unrest may spill over onto American soil. Events, if manipulated, could easily direct the anger of the Mexican masses toward the U.S. Such an event would delight the Central Powers. Yeah, I live in Arizona, and trust me, there is much anger spilling over from the South, which prefer the U.S. to stay out of Europe's affairs, especially as tensions... I'm just joking about that before. Actually, no, I'm not. Especially as tensions escalate there, United States preoccupied with Mexico would offer no help to Britain and France if we went to war with the German and Austro-Hungarian empires. As the players line up toe-to-toe, their armies are poised to defend both national honor and questionable allies, while their presses rave at fever pitch. All that is needed is one key event to plunge Europe into war. The world watches to see which side will blink first. For nearly a century, someone always has. Whew. Okay, we made it through it. Alright, we'll come back to it in just a moment. In the meantime, here we go. Alright, see ya.